drive, and off the glass, and one.
Hi, I'm Beth Christensen, number 42, senior, and you're in the bullseye.
You're in the bullseye from here in Oxford, Ohio at Yager Stadium on the campus of Miami University. I'm Paul Peck, radio voice of Buffalo Bulls football, following a very disappointing 41-13 Bulls loss to the Miami Redhawks. We will look back at this loss, plus we'll touch on a number of other sports going on at campus, but this game did not go at all the way the Bulls expected, especially following their, at times, very impressive performance in the narrow loss to Northern Illinois a week ago. We will go inside the locker room where head coach Jeff Quinn was a man of few words following this game, but those words told the story of a tough afternoon.
What we saw on film is what we got out there, and we certainly weren't responding in a proper manner.
We'll be joined by UB women's track coach Vicki Mitchell to recap the MAC Cross Country Championships.
The conference meet for us was one more stepping stone en route to our national qualifier meet. And both teams are really focused in and looking forward to taking that home course advantage.
We'll profile UB senior women's basketball player Beth Christensen.
I feel like, it's really my time to step up, and, working so hard for so many years, I think this is really this is our team, and we're going to do well.
Plus, we'll talk about the UB women's soccer team as they get ready for the semifinal game in the MAC Championships.
I think this team's biggest attribute is just the fact that they come out and they compete. And they've made a commitment to competing, and it's just served them very, very well.
I'm joined by Bulls radio color analyst Jim Kubiak as we continue to look back at the 41-13 loss to the Miami Redhawks. This game started, Jim, unlike any football game I've been around in a long time. Miami scores on the second play. They score in their first three possessions. The Bulls match them on their first two possessions in 6 or 7 minutes into the game, it's 21-13. But I wonder if that start, and particularly Miami scoring on that second play on the 71-yard touchdown pass, do you think it might have set a negative tone for the Bulls?
Well, there was definitely a breakdown in communication on that play, and there was a lot of breakdowns today, and I think it did set a tone. And what a great first quarter, back and forth, two offenses scoring. I think there was 5 scores in that first quarter, and unfortunately Buffalo not able to get anything going beyond that first quarter, and I think because of the breakdowns that they had.
Well, one of the things that has been going all season long, week in and week out, has been the outstanding running of Brandon Oliver. Yet, at this game on Saturday against Miami Redhawks, Brandon held to a season low in rushing yards, under 50 yards. It changed everything that the Bulls wanted to do on offense. How much did Miami's good defense on the run game and Brandon Oliver affect what the Bulls wanted to do?
Well, it affected everything that Buffalo wants to do, and we've talked about this all season. Buffalo is more physical this year. They've made a commitment to pounding the football inside, and when Miami took that away, they really crippled this offense, and I think Buffalo may have had just over 50 yards rushing, which is a low for the season, and I just don't think Buffalo had the answers, and when they got behind and were forced to throw into the teeth of the defense, it just didn't work out.
Well, after the game, the Bulls were forced to try to give some answers, and we're going to take you to some of the post-game interviews in a moment, but one observation you made about them is the Bulls were all accountable. What does that tell you about a team?
Well, I think that's the building blocks and foundation of success. Players have to be accountable and responsible for what their role is, and in every interview I saw in that locker room, every one of those guys is accountable and responsible. I think that's a tribute to Coach Quinn and what he brings to this offense, to this defense, to this football program. He's a very accountable guy. Obviously very disappointed, came in with high expectations to take down the defending MAC champ, but it didn't work out. They didn't play as well as they needed to. They lacked a little bit of, what's the word I want to say? Passion.
Passion, good word.
They just didn't have the passion, and it really showed out here.
All right, well, let's let you decide for yourself. We take you into the Buffalo locker room for the post-game reaction following this loss to the Miami Redhawks.
We have to be consistent. We have to take what we did the first 2 drives and do it every drive. and again, that falls on the quarterback. So, with 3 games left, we really have no option, and I have no option.
That's the great thing about football. You got the camaraderie around you, got your brothers around you, and your coaches. They teach you. When plays like that happen, you learn from it, let it go, and move on, and make a play to make up for it.
It teaches you about life, and we had a message today in chapel, and it talked about perseverance. It talked about facing opposition. It talked about the things that happen in life. And for me, it's a great teaching lesson, a great learning lesson for me to say, you know what, you got to persevere.
It's not an off week, okay? It's a bye week. Okay? We don't play Saturday, but we're going to continue developing and continue going in and learning how to compete and play and focus on the little things that matter more than anything. And that's really what it's all about. You go in there and you spend as much time as we do. It's always a tough loss. And to go into a bye week certainly is going to take a lot from our football team to get back on track to go play on the road at Eastern Michigan.